everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Bethany, and today's recipe, I'm gonna show you how to make an Italian meat sauce. This is a rich and hearty meat sauce that is so delicious, and you can use it in your favorite Italian dishes. It's really an everyday meat sauce. So let's get right into it. All right, so for the first step for our sauce, we have our pot heating up, and I'm using a Dutch oven. This is gonna be a 7-quart Dutch oven. And our first step, we wanna add 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil to our pot. Then 1 large diced onion. And just stir that up. I'm also gonna add a little pinch of salt to the onions. Now we're gonna saute these for just a few minutes and just until they're soft. While our onions are cooking, we're gonna get into cutting our garlic cloves. We're gonna do 6 garlic cloves, and we'll just have the onions cooking while we prep those. All right, so our onions have been cooking for about 3 to 4 minutes. They're nice and soft now, so we'll add our minced garlic cloves. And we'll just cook the garlic with the onion for about 30 to 60 seconds. That's kind of always the case whenever we're adding garlic to a pan. It doesn't need to cook very long. For our meat sauce, we're gonna be doing 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of, you can do 3 different things here. You can do Italian sausage, either spicy or sweet, or pork. So the sausage is gonna give more flavor. The pork is gonna be a little bit more mild. I'm actually using spicy Italian sausage today, but you could also do 1/2 pound of spicy and 1/2 pound of sweet to balance it out. But don't worry, this is not spicy if you use the spicy Italian sausage. So we're gonna add this to our onion and garlic, and we're gonna cook this just until it's brown. We'll just use our spoon to break up the meat a little bit. And if you have tried our Italian bolognese sauce, then you might be wondering, well, what's the difference between the two of these? The bolognese sauce is very rich. If you've tried that recipe and you've watched that video, I did kind of explain the difference between this sauce and the bolognese sauce. And that one is primarily just focused on the minced meat. It's a really rich and thick sauce, and it doesn't have a ton of tomato. This one has a lot of meat, but also a lot more tomato in it, so it's a very saucy sauce. And this one is kind of like the all-purpose meat sauce that you can use in lasagnas, baked zitis. You can put it in really any of your favorite Italian dishes. Bolognese sauce is a little bit more rich, so now if you're using a mild Italian sausage or a sweet, I would recommend adding just a pinch of red pepper flakes to the sauce. We're not doing that today because I'm using spicy and I don't need to. But like I said, if you use spicy Italian sausage, the sauce is not gonna be spicy at all. And while our meat is cooking, we'll add another generous pinch of salt. Always salt every layer of the process, so everything is layered with flavor. All right, so the meat is finished. It's nicely browned, and there's not really any liquid in the bottom of the pan. So now we're gonna add our tomato paste. So just doing 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Before I add anything, I just want to cook the tomato paste a little bit with the meat. And the reason that we're cooking the tomato paste first is because it's a nice little step to help build flavor in the sauce. It kind of helps richen the sauce a little bit, and then of course the tomato paste will thicken it as well. After the tomato paste, we're gonna add some red wine. So we're gonna do about 3/4 cup of red wine. We're using a dry red. This is gonna add so much body and richness to the sauce. It really adds so much flavor. Also super important, you always wanna use a dry red. You don't wanna be using anything sweet or candy wine, none of that. And try to avoid the box wines. And we're gonna cook this with the meat for about 3 minutes. We just wanna cook off a little bit of that alcohol. The rest of it's gonna cook off while the sauce simmers. It's also gonna flavor the meat so nicely. All right, now after the wine, we're gonna add our tomatoes. And I did wanna show you, I used Bianco di Napoli. You can totally use San Marzano tomatoes. These were a little cheaper in the store than the San Marzanos. So I like to use a quality Italian tomato, or Bianco di Napoli is a great option. Now, there is a ton of tomato left inside the can. So I'm gonna rinse these and then drain them into the sauce because you don't wanna waste that stuff. So after I pour the tomato in, I will add that. But I use my hands to break these up. I actually got tomato all over my pants. And this is 3 28-ounce cans of tomatoes. And they are whole plum tomatoes. And like I said, we used our hands to just break them down, just so that we don't have lots of chunks of tomatoes in this. We'll stir that in with the meat. Okay, and like I said, I added a little bit of water to the cans. There's still a lot of tomato juices and goodness in here. I wanna get that back in there. My mom always did this, so learned that from her. Last ingredient, we're gonna add Parmigiano Reggiano rinds. I'm using 2 of them because I didn't really have a big one. I like to use kind of a big one for a sauce like this. And this is gonna infuse Parmigiano Reggiano flavor all throughout the sauce. If you're familiar with my recipes, you know this is a staple in my sauces and soups. So they're not gonna disintegrate, just gonna soften, and then we'll discard them at the end. And then one last pinch of salt and a pinch of black pepper, a nice generous one. Now we're gonna mix all that in there. In our final step, we're gonna get our cover for our pot and just partially cover the pot. We're not gonna fully cover it, and we're not gonna leave it uncovered. We're gonna let this simmer for 4 hours. So that's a longer period of time, and we don't want everything to evaporate in the pot, so we're gonna kind of trap most of the moisture in there. We're gonna put it on our lowest setting, and then you're just gonna let it simmer low and slow all day, stirring it every so often. You wanna watch out for that parm rind because it can slip to the bottom and burn, so I always kind of try to make sure that that's not sitting on the bottom. And I forgot to mention that if you don't have a Dutch oven like this, you can use just a regular pot. Totally fine. So it's not really important to use Dutch ovens. I just always cook with mine. So we're gonna let this simmer for 4 hours and then we get to taste it. Okay, so our sauce has been simmering for about 4 hours and it smells amazing in the whole house. That's the best part about sauces or ragouts, especially when they have that red wine. Like I was saying, just makes the whole house smell amazing. So first thing is we're gonna get our parm rinds out. They got nice and soft. Sometimes my smaller ones can break up into pieces, and those are always fun digging out, but we're just going to remove those. Okay, try a little bit of this. It smells so, so good. It's delicious. It's so rich. It has a little bit of a spice, not spicy, just a little bit of spice from the spicy sausage. It's delicious. It's so good. Like I said, this is an all-purpose Italian meat sauce. Serve it with your favorite pasta, any shape. Put it in a baked ziti, lasagna, even stuffed shells. Whatever you would like, you can put this meat sauce in and just replace it with a marinara. And if you're wondering, why am I sharing so many sauce recipes? Well, that's just what I grew up making this time of year, was the sauce recipes that we would use in the recipes that we would make for the holidays or the colder winter days. So That's why I'm sharing it, and we will be including this sauce in a new recipe coming up in the next few weeks. So that's another reason to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out. And if you do try this recipe, feel free to let me know. You can let me know in the comments here on YouTube or on my website. Always love hearing from you guys. And as always, I'll catch you in the next recipe and I'll see you in the comments.